Shalom. Today is January 20th. We're in day 472 of the war in Israel, and the newspapers are covering a very broad coverage over the moments that excited the whole nation yesterday. Romy, Emily, and Doron returned home in the arms of their mothers. Chibuk shel ima. Chibuk is hug or embracement, a mother's embrace. Shehigianu lazman hazeh. And it says here, after 471 days in Hamas captivity, Doron Steinbrecher, Romy Gonen, and Emily Damari returned to their families. Hasiyut histayem. The nightmare has finished, said Emily's mother. The next stage of releasing hostages is on Shabbat. Regardless whether or not this deal is good for Israel or not, whether it is a righteous, just deal or not, everyone in Israel is very happy to see these ladies come back healthy, on their 2 feet, smiling, in a good condition. They're back in Israel, back in their families. And the newspaper is covering mostly this, coverage over each one individually. Let's go shortly over each hostage. Mechakim lekulam babayit. Lekulam is to everyone, waiting for everyone at home. Romy shuv bizroot shel ima. Romy is once again in the arms of her mother. A whole nation waited for this picture for over 471 days. Romy Gonen is sof sof babayit. Sof sof is finally. Sof means final, so when you say sof sof is finally home. Lahorim shenevku al shichrura. For her parents that fought for her liberation with a hope that was inspiring, with her siblings that did everything that we'll find, that we will hear about the parties she liked and about the animal prints she liked on her clothes. And here, if we look at this closely, Romy's name is in font with animal print, because she likes that so much. And for her grandmother that cried out yesterday, "This is what I'm living for." Haregaim hameragshim, the emotional moments from the return back to Israel after a year and 3 months of much anticipation. In the picture here, we see Romy in the arms of her mother, and here Romy is embraced by her family. It looks like her sister is wearing animal print shirt. Down here, we see Romy's friends and co-workers in the restaurant where she worked in. They're all following the news, following the updates, and yes, waiting for her return. Yesterday I was doing grocery shopping in this afternoon time, around the time that they're returning, and nobody was in the grocery store, nobody was in the mall. Everybody was at home, glued to some sort of screen to follow what was going on with the hostages and making sure they're coming home safely. It was a very, very special afternoon yesterday all across Israel. Romy's parents, especially her mom, was one of the most dominant women that fought for the return of the hostages. She was all across the media, speaking around the world, speaking around Israel, on the radio and TV. She was very prominent. Also, Romy was kidnapped together with Ophir. Ophir was killed in captivity in Gaza. Ophir's mom is quoted here. "I would very much like to speak to Romy now, but I'll let her arrive, recuperate, heal, and get stronger. I know there will be the time that we will meet and talk." She's the last one that saw Ophir. Together they got injured, together they got kidnapped to Gaza. It's hard to see Romy come back and Ophir not. It's a hard moment. I don't know how to handle it, says Ophir's sister. So there's a lot of sadness and pain together with the return of these hostages. The next article is about Doron Steinbrecher. Doron is healthy, bria, al haraglaim, on her feet. Eize chalom, what a dream. Anachnu beteruf, we're in craziness in a positive way. A moment before she was taken from the neighborhood in Kfar Aza. Kfar Aza is the village on the Israeli side. Do not get confused. It's not in Gaza. It's on the Israeli side called Kfar Aza. Doron Steinbrecher said to her friends, "Tafsu oti, I've been taken, I've been caught." Yesterday, 471 yamim, 471 days of longing and missing her since that Saturday. Her friends got together to watch her come home. Dodo הגibורה שלנו חזרה לזרועותינו. our heroic Dodo is back into our arms. And we see her friends watching the TV here and the moments of liberation. Here we see Doron leaving the truck in the heart of Gaza on the way to the Red Cross vehicle, surrounded by a multitude of Hamas terrorists with the green band around their head, and thousands of them, and many of them are armed. On the left here, we see the write-up, the messaging that Doron sent to her friends and what her friends sent back here on the day of October 7th when she's kidnapped to Gaza. So before she's kidnapped, she hears the boom, she hears sirens, she hears shooting, and she says, what is this? 30 years I live here and I've never heard such a thing. Imale means like, oh my gosh, or from the word mother. Yeriot, shooting, I'm shaking, I can barely write, she's writing to her friends. Her friend said, how is it possible? Where is all the military? Doron writes, listen, 30 years I'm here, that I'm living here and nothing has happened like this. Around 11 a.m. that Shabbat on 7th of October, she records a message, the last one, to her friends, and she says, Tafsuti, I've been caught. And for a whole week, she was considered ne'ederet, meaning missing. Nobody knew what happened to her. And then, as far as we know, she's kidnapped, so nothing was sure. And then only on the day 107, only in the 107th day of the war, her family got a sign of life of Doron in captivity. And that was a huge relief for them after over 100 days of not knowing what happened to Doron. Doron is a veterinarian nurse. And here in this picture, we see her getting a big hug from her father, and her family is standing around her. Next, about Emily, Chiyuch HaNitzachon shel Emily, the smile of victory. Nitzachon means victory of Emily. After 471 days, even after 471 days, Emily Damari is projecting resilience and heroism. Can you say heroism? In an outstanding way. A whole country took a breath of relief when the young lady, 28 years old, waved her hand that's bandaged and smiled. Today, after 15 months of nightmare in Gaza, yesterday, she finally reunited with her family. Here's Emily, and there's her mom. It says here, Shuvah shel Alufa, the return of a champion. And there she is waving her hand with a huge smile of victory. Down here, we read the details of the moment she's kidnapped and the horrific seconds. On October 7th in the morning, we see here the picture from where she was taken captive. This is after October 7th, so it looks like a ruin. There's graffiti on the walls. Everything's upside down. Here are the pictures of release. Once again, she's surrounded by a multitude of Hamas here, leaving the truck on the way to the Red Cross. Down here, we see a document that's like a certification of release that Hamas did to these hostages in a very cynical way. It's printed here, it's on the computer, and they got a gift, a bag gift as well, with pictures of them in Gaza, in captivity, and of the Gaza Strip. So Israel's just saying that's a very cynical use of their power while they're releasing them. I want to say one more thing. When we read the articles and stories here, we read about each hostage family is speaking about all of the rest that are not home yet, where they're waiting for all of the rest to come home, all the rest of the hostages. And also these ladies, they will not have complete peace knowing that they left behind other friends that are still in Gaza. So that's why I think it reads, Mechakim lekulam babayit, waiting for everyone at home. And the question is the price, because the price is very heavy, I think, for all of Israel's security, Israel as a nation's security. In addition to the 3 live hostages that were released, another very special incident happened yesterday in a very heroic operation, it reads here. Gufat Oron Shaul chultza me'aza. The body of Oron Shaul was rescued from Gaza. There was intelligence knowing where Oron Shaul was. He is dead over 10 years. It's 2014 is when he died together, when he was killed together with Hadar Goldin. in Tzuk Eitan, the war called Tzuk Eitan in 2014. And as he was killed, he was taken into Gaza and kept in captivity there. Hadar Goldin is still there. His family has been fighting for the return of his dead body for over 10 years now. And here's his mom. This is his brother. And they're finally going to bury him today, actually, at 2 p.m. in the north of Israel in his village called Poria. It reads here that Oron's father died 2 years after he was killed and kidnapped. He was fighting cancer, and he died 2 years later. And his father said before he died that he got that cancer because of his great sorrow of his son being killed and kidnapped and not back home. So it's sad that his father was not is not alive to see his son come back and buried in Israel. So what does Israel give in return for the 3 live hostages? 90 terrorists, live terrorists. המחבלים חוזרים לשטח. The terrorists are returning to the ground, to the land. שטח is ground. Here is celebrations in Ramallah last night for the release of 90 terrorists. There's a great concern that these terrorists will go back to act in terrorism, to terroristic activity. 90 terrorists. It says here 62 female terrorists, 28 men, 8 of them are minors, and the youngest one is 15. 12 of these terrorists were sent back to East Jerusalem. Okay, others to Gaza, and others were expelled. Actually, in this round, no one was sent out of Israel because these are light terrorists, so-called light. They were not, they were not directly killing anybody. They supported, they helped, and they were arrested for a good reason. 12 of them in East Jerusalem. They have blue identity cards. That means they're residents of Israel. It's hard to identify them. The IDF says they will do home visits to these freed terrorists, whatever that means. Yes, and we'll be getting more and more terrorists back into our area, into Gaza, into East Jerusalem, and some of the worst ones will be sent outside of Israel. And lastly, as today is January 20th, we're not forgetting that it's the inauguration day of President Donald Trump here with his wife, America a la Kavenet. America is on the target, it reads here, and specifically how it relates to the hostage release deals. The families of the hostages are counting on President Trump to make sure the whole deal will come into full action, full fruition. שחרור החטופות זה אור גדול. Releasing the female hostages is a great light. We came to the inauguration that this light will not be quenched, will not be burned out. And these are the families of the hostages that were, some of them, that were invited to Washington and will be part of the ceremony. God bless America. God bless Israel. Thank you for standing with us in Israel. Thank you for supporting us. And for more news that matters, please go to allisrael.com. Share this video with your friends if you liked it, and like it if you did like it. This is Rotem again for All Israel News.